also what Randy Moss provides when he is able to work as part of the NBC sports family, covering horse racing in the Olympics, and he also does some work with the NFL Network. You can follow Randy on Twitter at Randy_Moss_TV. Randy, top of the morning to you. Hope you and your family are safe and are well. How are you?
We are, and I hope the same for you guys. And I'm glad you added that caveat: when he is able to work. Right now, yes. I know what it's like to be retired.
Yeah, I mean, Randy, I wanted you on the show because yesterday and the day before, I have locked myself into TVG starting at about 12:30. I'm watching Gulf Shore. I'm watching anything that they can throw on there because it's the only damn live sports we have. And then Gulfstream shuts down for today. I don't know, Randy, if you could help me out if they're still going to run the Louisiana Derby Saturday. But your sport is in a really weird spot because the Derby has already announced that it's moving its date. Yet all the Derby prelims are going on. And horse racing didn't want to stop. Is it going to be forced to stop?
It's in a very bizarre sort of middle ground, right? It's the only sport out there. I was going to say major sport. I'm not so sure horse racing is a major sport anymore, other than the Triple Crown and Breeders' Cup time. But it's not a contact sport, right? The jockeys are in close contact with each other in the jockey room, but other than that, it's conducted in wide open spaces where, people aren't necessarily that close to each other. Horses can't catch this coronavirus. There are certain coronaviruses that spread just among horses, but this particular COVID-19, horses are not susceptible to. So the way racetracks are doing it, like the fairgrounds in New Orleans, which is going to run the Louisiana Derby currently on Saturday, like Gulfstream, other than today, Santa Anita, Oaklawn Park in Arkansas, they're running races just without fans in the grandstand. This is it can be done economically in horse racing because nowadays, the way the sport's conducted at most tracks around the country, the grandstands are three-quarters empty anyway. Most people are betting from home, which is now easily done. Almost every big horse bettor in America has an account with one of the online companies, and they can sit in their living room and they can not only watch the races on their computer, they can bet, and it's actually easier to bet from home than it is to bet from the track. So maybe 10% of the money bet at most racetracks on most races in America is actually bet at the track, and 90% is bet from somewhere else. So horse racing is uniquely positioned right now to be able to continue for now, as long as you don't get any major outbreaks on the backstretch where horses are taken care of and all that. Now, this past week, you're probably aware of this, but we had a very unique situation in Arkansas, where they ran a big race day at Oaklawn Park on Saturday, several major stakes races. One of the races had a horse in it that was owned by Bill Parcells. Parcells lives in New York. He was not able to travel down for the race, but Sean Payton was. And Payton, of course, formerly worked for Bill Parcells. So Peyton's a big horse racing fan. He got on apparently a private jet in New Orleans, flew up to Hot Springs, Arkansas, to watch Bill Parcells' horse run in the Rebel. The race, he had lunch with his trainer in the grandstand that day. The race before Bill Parcells' horse ran, they asked Sean Payton to present the trophy in the winner's circle, which he did, shaking hands with the winning owner and the winning jockey and the winning trainer after the race. And then, of course, Sean flew back to New Orleans, and then on Sunday, the very next day, started exhibiting symptoms, and Monday was tested positive. So now the trainers involved are on self-quarantine, and right now they say they're experiencing no symptoms, but they're being careful. And the whole world is just going crazy right now with all this stuff, and who knows where we're going.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and we're talking with Randy Moss of the NBC Sports Family and also the NFL Network. You can follow him on Twitter, Randy_Moss_TV. With the Derby pushing it back, does that put pressure on the Preakness and Belmont to do the same? I mean, come on, we start off the Triple Crown races. It always starts with the Derby. I mean, we're not going to start with one of the other two, right? Or are they going to, like we're seeing in other sports where, the French Open, Randy, just picked their own date as to when they're going to reschedule. They didn't talk to Wimbledon or the U.S. Open. They took care of themselves. And it's kind of boxed in the U.S. Open, actually, as to what they're going to do. And I'm wondering, with the Derby picking their time, we're going to do it here. Does that basically force the Preakness and Belmont to fall in line?
No. It doesn't force them to fall in line. There's certainly pressure on the Preakness, the Stronach group that runs Pimlico, and the New York Racing Association that runs Belmont Park. The Preakness, they've already announced that the Preakness will be moved, but now they're trying to ascertain the date that it will be moved to. You would think if it was that much of a slam dunk, they would already have come out and said, okay, we're going to run the Preakness 2 weeks after the Kentucky Derby on September the 19th. One thing that we've, all of us that have been involved in horse racing for a long time have come to realize, we've actually been, hit over the head with it. It's very difficult to get racetrack owners to agree on what to have for lunch, much less cooperate with each other. There is no love lost between Churchill Downs Incorporated and the Stronach Group, and between either of those groups and the New York Racing Association. They do what's best for them, and they don't give a flip what's best for the other two. And, I hope they'll fall in line, and we'll still have a reconstituted Triple Crown in September and maybe the Belmont run in early October, but it's far from a sure thing.
Yeah, I believe it was 1931. I looked it up this week. I think I have the year right. That's when the Derby decided that it would be the first Saturday in May as opposed to different points in May, and it's run that Saturday every year since until now. Randy, I want you to do a little PSA for all of us. Now, I used to spend a lot of time at the harness tracks when I was much younger and knew people and, could get in. And I can still read a program, but for those of us that are jumping on TVG, so that we don't lose even more money than we're already losing with our 401ks, give a Reader's Digest version of how you would tell someone who's going to attack TVG and maybe want to wager a little bit, some advice so they don't get crushed and can have a little fun.
First of all, don't try to catch up in horse racing what you've lost in your 401k. That's rule number one. Danger, Will Robinson there. Okay. What I always tell people when they don't know much about horse racing and they want to go to the track, I ask them, well, what would you spend if you go to a movie, if you go to dinner with your significant other? And they might say, well, a nice dinner, a movie nowadays, I might spend $100, maybe a little bit more than that. And you have a good time, all right? So if you want to be entertained and take that money and say, okay, I'm going to take that money to the racetrack, if that's what I decide to do, to go to the races, that's my budget. If I lose it, if I walk away with zero, I've had a good time. I've spent the same amount of money that I would spend going somewhere else. And I've had a little intellectual exercise and watched the horses run and had some excitement. But don't get all bent out of shape if you lose your $100. I mean, so many people will be willing to spend $100 at a movie or dinner, and then they'll go to the racetrack, and when they lose 40, they'll be fuming when they walk out of the track. That's ridiculous. I can't believe I lost that money. Just treat it as fun, treat it as entertainment, and I think you'll find that you enjoy it.
I had a blast losing $20 yesterday, Randy. First off, it was found money because I opened my Twin Spires account and there was actually still money. There was a balance there, so I'm like, "This is great."
Hey, there you go.
I was in my head, I was up when I started.
That's it. That's the right attitude. And just there's no rules about how to bet. Some people love and focus on betting what they call exotic bets, betting a lot of trifectas and superfectas and exacta boxes and pick threes and pick fours and pick fives, and other people like to bet horses to win, right? If they win, you win. If they lose, you lose. Win, play, show. There's all sorts of different modes that you can participate, but just do whatever your tolerance for risk will enable you to do and still have fun and enjoy it.
Randy, 10 minutes ago when we brought you on, we said that you do Olympic work with NBC, and obviously, even though the Olympics as of today are like, hey, we're not pushing them back and we're not going to 2021, it's July 24th, August 9th, here we are, we're still on. Your gut feeling just about the Olympics and or what you think they should do. And I am curious, Randy, since the Triple Crown's under NBC's umbrella, the Olympics are under NBC's umbrella. I mean, man, I'd like to think that the Olympics and horse racing can't go forward without getting NBC's approval. There's a lot of money NBC doles out for this stuff. I wouldn't operate independently if I were these people.
Well, I know the various Triple Crown proprietors have been in contact with NBC. I know Churchill Downs Inc. was talking with NBC when it made its decision to move to early September, and I know the Preakness people have already been in contact and things like that. So that is happening. I don't know anything. I don't have any inside information whatsoever about NBC's involvement with the International Olympic Committee or anything like that in terms of any decision to postpone the games or not. I have no information about whether they might or might not be postponed. I'll just tell you, personal opinion, Randy Moss, not speaking as NBC's Randy Moss, would be surprised if the Olympics aren't postponed at this point. Wouldn't you?
Yes. If for no other reason, Randy, then the entire qualifying worldwide is a complete mess, and I think it would be unfair, quite frankly, to hundreds of athletes, if not thousands, to throw an Olympics together here in 4 months with virtually no proper qualifying.
Exactly. Apart from the whole coronavirus aspect of it, right now, I mean, if the coronavirus, went away, completely vanished in a month, which, as we know, is very unlikely to happen, you still have the qualifying issues. Athletes have not been able to train. Gyms are closed. Training facilities are closed. And we all know the specialized training that goes into being an Olympic athlete nowadays, and that's just I just can't see how that could happen. But hopefully I'm wrong. But we'll see.
Randy, as always, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you get to do a little work with the horse racing coming up for some of these. And if not, enjoy the time, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
Stay safe.
All right. Bet with your head and not over it.
Very good advice, Randy.
Nice.
Take
Randy
care.
Moss, part of the NBC Sports family, and also does some work with NFL Network, horse racing, the Olympics, and the NFL. You can follow Randy on Twitter, Randy_Moss_TV.